There have been a lot of names that we have talked about being traded to the Detroit Lions, and I know you guys are sick of it, but it is what it is, man. We are in need of edge rusher help, and the trade deadline is approaching. We are going to talk about this for the next 7 days, so you got to be ready for it. Sorry about it, but this is how this is going to go. That's why they pushed the NFL trade. You can blame the NFL. They pushed the trade deadline back a week for this very reason. Maybe they won't next time. I like it this way because it makes things much more interesting. A lot more teams with that one game difference might be sellers rather than holding on to their guys. And while we don't expect this team to be any competition, that is the Carolina Panthers, they might be ready to kind of have a hard rebuild. I'm even hearing that Bryce Young might be traded. He could be traded, and the Carolina Panthers will hit a hard reset. Remember, Bryce Young was not drafted by the current coaching staff. The head coach there he was drafted under the previous head coach. So I could 100% believe this. Well, there's a guy that we have yet to talk about. We've talked about the big names: Harold Landry, Myles Garrett, Mad Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, Trayvon Walker. The list goes on and on. But this guy here, we have not talked about. There's been a reason that I haven't really talked about him. But now with his name being floating around when it comes to trade rumors, that is Jadeveon Clowney. We are going to talk about this. And I know some guys in the comment section wanted me to do so. This is coming from Bleacher Report via Diana Rossini with The Athletic. She said, speaking of pass rushers, I expect the Panthers, Jadeveon Clowney, the Packers, Preston Smith, and a different Browns vet, Zadarius Smith, to draw some interest before the trade deadline. Then it's telling you what he basically come off the season, just finished his 11th NFL season. He had 12 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, and 1 sack in 5 games. That's this season. Clowney signed a 2-year, $20 million contract with the Panthers last season, but Carolina is struggling through a 1-6 season and could very well finish with the league's worst record. At this juncture, the Panthers might be best off trading away players for future draft picks and rebuilding for the future. Now, I know Derek Brown is there. He also signed a monster contract. He's more of a DT. We don't really need that right now, but I would be surprised or wouldn't be surprised if the Carolina Panthers are fielding calls on him. So they might be hitting a hard reset button. It's funny how this team has not really recovered since that 2015 Super Bowl season. But what about Jadeveon Clowney? Now, this is a guy that, watching him come out of college, I mean, we all know his basically claim to fame was the hit that he put on a Michigan running back as he was coming out of college. 6'5", 266, 31. So he would be 32. Now, when it comes to age, I don't want to hear nothing. Your general manager, Brad Holmes, and again, I'm gonna call him your general manager when he does something like this. He brought in 36-year-old Bruce Irvin. Bruce Irvin was 36. So Jadeveon Clowney being a fresh 31, or not a fresh 31, he's about to turn 32, that's nothing. It's like, it's nothing to me. Like Shaq says. First round pick back in 2024, and his status is questionable. I'm not sure what happened. But the thing about it is, we're talking about not until the trade deadline. This what kind of move this will be. Has 1 sack, as we went over before. If we look at his career, I mean, outside of 3 seasons, his last couple with Houston, he hasn't really been all of that. Well, I wouldn't call him all that. I call him, he was all right. He was all right. I mean, 9.5, 9.5. So he's never had double-digit sacks. I just realized that. He came close 2 years, but he's never had double-digit sacks. The thing that scares me about Jadeveon Clowney is this right here. He's got that Yannick Ngakoue vibe where he just hops around. He spent the first couple of years with Houston. This was his second team, his third team, year after year. His fourth team stayed there 2 years, fifth, sixth. If he gets traded, that'll be his 7th team, but it hasn't been 7 team in, 5 years? 5 seasons. So 1 year with the Baltimore Ravens. I remember when he signed over there, found a kind of a mini home in Cleveland. I can't believe that was in 2022, and then signed a 2-year deal with the Carolina Panthers. But here's the thing. Jadeveon Clowney, here is his contract breakdown coming from Spot Track. Now, he had $12 million guaranteed, which was his signing bonus, and the 2024 compensation of $2 million plus the 2025 salary. All right. So as you can see, the Carolina Panthers have a potential out after this year, and they probably will cut him because of this here. His base salary in 2025 is $8.5 million. Now, don't forget the guaranteed was only $12 million. So when it comes to Jadeveon Clowney and why I think the Detroit Lions wouldn't do this, out of all the guys that we talked about, like the second, third tier guys, I think Jadeveon falls in kind of like that third tier. If the thing about him is, if you watch the Detroit Lions, and this is all based on patterns, like I told John yesterday in the podcast, make sure you guys check that out. When it comes to how the Lions do things, if they had a chance to sign you in free agency and they don't, I find it very hard that they would either sign you in the offseason, or like if you're still waiting to be signed for a team, or trade for you. Now, here's the caveat to that. That was before we got so desperate. Like, we are desperate right now. We went and got a guy off the Bengals practice squad who will probably get some action tomorrow. Isaiah Thomas. We don't know what he's going to be able to do. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But this team is in a bind. We're in a bind. Josh Pascal dealing with his situation. We are in a bind. We are going to need some bodies. And this might not be a bad idea. Now, $8 million for Jadeveon Clowney next year, that's kind of tough. If we traded for him, I definitely would want to rework that for sure. And I know nothing about Jadeveon. I have no idea his personality, I don't know if he's a cat. I don't know any of that stuff. What I do know is the Detroit Lions this past offseason and several off seasons before that has had the chance to sign him and have not looked in his direction. We have not heard anything like that. I would be surprised if this was to happen, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised either. We are desperate. We could get him. You're talking about what approach does Brad want to take? Does he want to continue to pass rush by committee, which at this point we may have to do because of the injury to the defensive line? We don't know when Broderick is coming back. We have no idea when John is coming back. We don't know if we'll see Aiden, Kyle Pecco. I mean, these guys went to season-ending injured reserve, Marcus Davenport. So we are at the point, in my opinion, where we're getting pretty desperate for bodies. So I would be surprised, but then I really wouldn't be surprised either. I would expect if they did trade for him, it would be a late-round pick. And unless you are a Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, I don't think they're giving you anything in rounds 1 through 4. We have no third-round pick. We have a fourth. I think we have 2 6 and something like that. So I see anything Zadarius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, anybody like that, it's going to be a late round. The only way we're giving you a first or second is if it is a top-flight, top-tier pass rusher. So would I be mad? I'm not going to be mad at any pass rusher that the Detroit Lions bring in. I mean, real talk. You can go and find Bruce. Find out if he's in Cancun or on a beach somewhere or in his backyard, and I would not be mad. Do I want the Detroit Lions to make a big move? Absolutely. If Hutch was here, I would say go get that guy, and I'm still backing that. Make that happen if you can, because we're not talking about just this year. We're talking about next year and the year after that as well, partnering that guy up with Aiden Hutchinson. But at this point, we are hurting really bad. We're hurting so bad that we go get a practice squad individual who really hasn't seen any game time in the last year to come in, well, not necessarily start, but you know what I'm saying, to be on the 53-man roster, which is what you have to do coming from if you pull somebody from a practice squad. That's how desperate the Detroit Lions are. And we saw last week against the Minnesota Vikings, the entire team got as many pressures as Hutchinson got in the Seattle game by himself. So that is a cause for concern. And every media pundit is saying the same thing. They've been saying it all week. I've been saying it for 2 or 3 years, right? So if we did do this, would not be mad. I would expect some type of reworking of the contract. Again, no idea who Jadeveon really is. The thing that I said, kind of, it's not really a concern, but it's more like a moment of pause. Because again, Yannick Ngakoue, Jadeveon Clowney, there have been multiple pass rushers that have been sitting in the free agent market that the Detroit Lions could have they immediately went after Marcus Davenport. Immediately. The end. Everybody else flying off the shelf, and they immediately went to Marcus Davenport. So I don't see this happening, but again, I would not be mad because the Lions need some help. We need some bodies. So let me know your thoughts. Would you trade for Jadeveon Clowney? If so, what would you give up? Again, I wouldn't be mad if we did this because we need bodies. So you literally could sign anyone and I would be like, let's go. Do I want the big name? Do I want the immediate massive impact player? I do. Are we going to get that? Maybe, but we can also get others as well. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. We are less than 30 subscribers away from 24,000 with the off chance of making it to 25K by the trade deadline, which is that is very much in reach. So consider subscribing if you haven't already. Don't forget about the giveaway happening at 25K. That is when the old villain lion, yes, the one from last year, I've been saving it for this purpose here. 26K will be the Aiden Hutchinson bobblehead, the limited edition. Only 96 of them were made from FOCO. So consider subscribing to the channel. Help this channel get there. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. If you're going to the game tomorrow, I'll see you down there. Going to be down there when the doors open so I can get my hands on a Calvin Johnson bobblehead. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.